The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, this is the ACT and Data webinar, where we'll go over how to use ACT and some of the data management stuff that goes on around NSC. An outline of what we'll go over in this webinar is the importance of the data collection, escorts, ACT, how to use it, and then appointments and filing. So the importance of the correct work. So there's a couple reasons why it's really, really important to make sure that you're very efficient and detail-oriented in your work. The first one is USCRI and PRM come for monitoring. So basically, they're coming to look at our charts and our work and make sure that we are supporting our clients. If our work is not documented, then it didn't happen. So it has to be documented. It has to be documented in the right place, under the right person, and has to be done correctly. Another thing is that we have a data specialist who has a couple different jobs. The first part is a CDC study that we've been part of for years, where they're tracking a lot of the health information for all of our refugees since 2012. And this really allows us to track that work we do, going back to proving to funders that we support our clients, we are doing what we say we're going to do. Any missing information, so anything that's not entered correctly, means that we have to track down people later, hoping that someone remembers the details. So if you don't write it down, don't record it, then we have to really hope you remember it later when we go to figure out where that information is. And there is a giant Excel document that has a lot of this information, as well as it's also in other areas. The Excel document, this is kind of what it looks like. So basically, it's going over so much of this data, and it just can go on for pages and pages. So there's lots of information being collected, and that just is another reason why it should be done correctly. So some of that data being collected is the demographics, so their name, date of birth, age, languages, as well as their screening appointments, health orientation. We're looking at how quickly they get these appointments. And then you could see, everything from health insurance, school enrollment, WIC enrollment, specialists, follow-ups. So all of this stuff is looked at, so we're able to really track this information. And that also includes walk-in queries. So when people walk in, there's a form you fill out that's able to tell us, why they came in, why clients are coming in, so that we can log that data as well. So a couple of things with escorts. There will be this form for almost all escorts, mostly the specialist follow-ups, especially those. There can be some screening appointments and things that you go to that are exceptions to this, but for all of these escorts, there should always be this form. It's really important that you bring back the form and fill out the results. So the outcome you see can either be completed, no-show, which means the client didn't show up, or other. So maybe you got all the way to the appointment and there was an insurance information, so it has to be rescheduled. So that kind of can go in the notes section, anything else that isn't either completed or as simple as the client didn't show up. It's also important to put your name of the escort so that we know who did it, as well as, again, just putting any notes that are important for us to note. Sometimes this form is stapled to a referral form or something like that. It's important to basically rip it apart, give the clinic, the specialist appointment, the referral form, and to keep this form. This is not going to the clinics, it's just kind of for our record, so make sure to bring back this form. So now we're going to go into some of the information about ACT. So first we have the login screen. So you'll log in and you'll be given the username and password that you should use, and this is what that will look like. When you log in, you'll see a couple of things on the side. So this will be what it looks like on the left-hand side. And you're going to look for the contact as well as the calendar. Those are two areas that we can go to pretty regularly. Once we get to the calendar, then we are looking at certain things as far as the specialist appointments, follow-ups, clinic days. If you click on a day and you see that the appointment isn't showing up on the right, then where the arrow is pointing for the Drexel Women's Clinic Nemours Specialist, you just have to click on those as well. They're just kind of segregated in those little modules, so I have to make sure just to click on those, and then you'll be able to look at all the appointments. So one thing is that if you open up the calendar and it looks kind of like it does now, where it's very blank, one of the reasons could be that the users aren't selected correctly. So select users where the arrow is on there, and just make sure you select whatever you need to see. So that will usually be things such as specialist appointments, screening appointments by individual clinics. And if you go through that list and just click down all of those, you'll see which ones are really health related and which ones you'll really need to click and see. Usually it will be especially those specialist appointments in some of those clinics. Some important things regarding ACT and searching for a contact is the way that it goes when you are searching for a contact is that you have to enter it exactly as it's entered in ACT. So if they have 3 middle names, you're going to have to type their first name, 3 middle names, and last name in the exact order and spelling that it is entered in ACT in order for it to appear. So the best thing to do is just kind of take, usually that first name or last name that's least common, type that in, and then search by that, and it will come up with a screen and show you the different people who have similar names. But again, just kind of searching either for first name or last name, or if you know that it's that exact way in ACT, then you could search for it that way. But if it isn't coming up, it could just be that it's not able to pick up the way you're searching it in, so search by another way. And you could search by contact or date of birth or date of arrival. Just make sure to try a couple different ways before you say, oh, this person might not be an ACT. So one of the reasons that you might go to this contact name is if you're doing an escort, for example, and they're running a little late, so you want to call them and make sure they're still coming. You might need that phone number, or to call and tell them about an appointment, something like that. Mail them a form. So the contact information is some of the most important stuff that you'll really use as far as on this screen. If you're looking for past appointments that have already been completed, that's going to be under History where this arrow is pointing. So under History, that will say whether it was completed, whether they didn't show up. So if you're looking for a history about different appointments that they've attended, this would be the place to go, and whether they completed those appointments or didn't show up. If you're looking for upcoming appointments, then you look under Activities. Under Activities, it will have a list of all activities from arrival. Some of them will be cleared, which will mean basically there's a line through it when you click on it. If it's a line through it, then it's probably in the past, or it's already been changed or marked as canceled or something along those lines. Otherwise, you're going to go to Activities, and any that are not cleared and are for a future date will show those future appointments. So as far as scheduling appointments, you're going to want to start by searching for the contact. Go to the scroll down menu on the top that says Schedule and select Other, and then you'll see that it will say Medical when you're holding the mouse over Other. You're going to choose the correct date and time. You're going to want to make sure that the time is what time you want the client to arrive at NSC to be escorted. So usually that's about a half hour before the appointment time. If it's further away, then maybe earlier before, but make sure it's the time that you want the client to arrive here. And then you're going to choose the type of appointment that you're scheduling for. So the one that's highlighted on this slide is just the specialist appointment. So this would be anything such as cardiology, nephrology, ENT, anything like that. Other choices include the radiology, so that's X-rays, ultrasounds, MRIs, as well as eye doctor, dental appointment, etc. The next step is going to sit where it says under Location, write the specialist code. So the codes will be on another side. And then under Schedule 4, choose that it's Specialist. So this way when you go to the calendar and search for specialist appointments, it will show up. If you do not put Specialist, then basically when you look at the calendar, you won't see that that's an upcoming specialist appointment. So it's really, really important to select Schedule 4 for the correct thing. So then you're going to add the specialist code in the same line as Location, as well as under the Details tab. So you see that there's a General tab, and then there's the Details tab on this picture. You're going to put it under Details. And that's really, really important that it's under Details, because once an activity is cleared, you can't see where they went. So in order for us to do that data collection and know that they went to, for instance, a cardiologist on this day, we're going to want the cardiology code to be in this Details section so that we can see it later. So here's a list of some of those codes. So as I referred to cardiology, again, it's pretty intuitive as far as it will be CAR. If you really can't remember the code or don't know where to find the code, you can type the full name in and we can edit it later as needed. But it's really important just to make sure that this stuff is included in that detail section. So specialist exceptions, so these are specialists that have their own category to specify, and that's the eye doctor, so put optometry as well as ophthalmology under that, and then dental. So they both have their own thing to select that is not specialist. So follow-ups, so first there's additional blood work, so that's if they had their initial blood work within their first 30 days, but now they need additional. There is an additional blood work tab. And then for other follow-ups, so think of follow-ups as things where they're not seeing a doctor necessarily, it's usually a follow-up test, and that's things such as X-ray, mammogram, CT, etc. And again, those codes are listed there, and then their code should also be typed in the details and location section, again, just as was specified on previous slides. So again, the most important things is to not forget the regarding section, so putting that they're going to a specialist, eye doctor, etc. Whatever it is under regarding, it needs to be selected so that we know that it shows up in the calendar correctly and we know that it appears in their chart correctly. But it's, again, most important that you select the correct regarding. If you ever have any questions, please ask before just kind of assuming or letting it automatically populate it. Make sure that that is correct. So specialist or something along those lines. And then also very, very important is the Schedule 4. So again, if you don't select specialist, not going to show up in the calendar. We're not going to know that it's even coming up. If they arrive, we might not know why they're here. We just need to make sure that for data purposes, for the client purposes, these two things are always filled out correctly. And in case that wasn't clear enough, make sure to double check when you are finished. Did you remember to complete the regarding and Schedule 4 section? These are really, really, really important, so that's why we continue to emphasize them. So when it comes to clinic liaisons, there is just a special note. If there are any appointments or follow-ups on the day of screening, just make sure to put it into ACT either later that day when you return to NSC or the following day, just because we want to make sure that we track the work you do and again, just the work that we're doing for the client. So if they walk into an X-ray after their screening is done, just make sure that we put it in ACT the next day as completed after their screening. All right, so when it comes to filing these papers, so again, we bring them back and someone will be filed. So if you're ever helping to file them, the important things that you need to know is if you look at the bottom of that form, you'll see it will say PA name. The PA is the person listed under the company or family, so you can put that person's name. And then the case number, you're looking for that case number where it says file number, and you see here it says 500 SSR, family relationship, so different things. So you're going to want that date of arrival would be the 9/30/15, and then that case number would be just 500. So those are really important when you are looking to start filing these in the charts. When you are filing in the chart, you're going to put it under the health section. If you have any questions, just ask someone and we'll be happy to help you. When it comes to recent cases, if they've come within the past 90 days, they're most likely in their case manager's office or filing cabinets. Other files should be in the filing cabinet or filing cabinets in the filing room and organized by either the PA name, which is labeled on top. If you open the chart, it will have other family members listed inside, and the label will also have the number of family members. So if you know there's a family of 5, but that chart only says 3, it might not be the right chart even if the case number and other things are similar. It will also have be filed by year of arrival as well as the case number. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask us. We would rather you ask questions over and over again, especially for the importance of the data collection. We'd rather you ask than just assume something is correct. So if you have any questions, any doubts that something might not be right, please feel free to ask and we will be happy to help you. Thanks.